Do you ever think about giving the talk, the talk about sexuality and the birds of the bees and how you're going to explain that all to your children? As a parent and a therapist, I definitely do. But I have found some excellent resources that I think are gold, and I want to share them with you. I really got thinking about this recently when I came across some information that in the state of Washington in 2022, we are going to have a K through 12 mandated sex ed program in our schools. Part of that sex ed program might have aspects of sexuality that don't fit your value or belief system in your home. Regardless of what those are in your home and your belief system, sexuality and sex education should start in the home. This should be coming from the parents. I think parents just feel really anxious about it and awkward, and having some good resources and tools can help take some of the anxiety out of that. So I wanted to share this series with you. Introducing the Talk series by Luke Gilkerson and his wife from their ministry, Intoxicated on Life. They have a biblical and Christian framework in its approach to sexuality and teaching these concepts to our children. So it may not be a good fit for you, but I think it's gold, and here's why. Luke Gilkerson worked for Covenant Eyes, and he was tired of seeing the harmful effects on online pornography on families. Hearing story after story of parents realizing that their kids are already entrenched in pornography and they haven't even had a chance to explain to them a healthy view of intimacy and sexuality. In this first book, 7 Lessons to Introduce Your Child to Biblical Sexuality, it introduces the differences between male and female, talks about anatomy, basically introduces to them the concept that sex is not gross, it's not God, it's good. It's not gross, and I don't know why, but we struggle, especially as parents. Most of the awkwardness comes from us as the parents. Children haven't learned that this topic is taboo. It's up to us on how we're presenting it to them. If we're speaking matter-of-factly, if we're opening the conversation multiple times, not just a one-time conversation. There should be ongoing conversations where your child feels safe enough to come to you and ask questions about sexuality, things that they're seeing in their world. So sex is not gross. It's also not God. In our culture, we live in a hyper-sexualized society. It's really quite sad when you stop to think about it. Sex is glorified in our culture, and we want our kids to understand that while it's not gross, it's also not God, but it is good. God made it as a blessing for us, and I think it's crucial that we can express that to our children. Let me tell you more about the books. This first book, 7 Lessons to Introduce Your Child to Biblical Sexuality, is for ages 6 to 10. It talks about anatomy, sexual intercourse, introduces the concept of adultery, do not violate me, talking about personal boundaries and the fact that we are bought with a price. There's scriptural references and God's original plan for sexuality in here with an easy question-answer format to follow. The second book is called Changes, 7 Biblical Lessons to Make Sense of Puberty. It's basically what it says. It's for ages 8 to 12 and talks about hormones, how those changes affect the body, talks about the brain, the limbic system, which is our feeling center, versus our prefrontal cortex, which is our thinking part of the brain, and how that can help us as we are experiencing hormones. It introduces the importance of self-control while using biblical examples, as well as introduces concepts such as lust and objectification, but really emphasizing the goodness of sexual attraction as well. And the third book, it's called Relationships, 11 Lessons to Give Kids a Greater Understanding of Biblical Sexuality. This is for ages 11 and up. It highlights the importance of relationships as it becomes super important to children of those ages. Talks about how sex is good, God's original plan for it. Again, temptations, how sex is powerful and comes with responsibility, how you can find accountability within safe relationships, and how to look at each other as not objects, but as souls that should be reverenced and honored. And that's where true intimacy can have a foundation. These resources are so crucial. It really serves as an excellent guide. I highly recommend you check them out. Links will be down below, and they will also be found under resources, under sexuality and pornography and sexual abuse prevention on my website at nurturingcharacters.com. You can also find more of their ministry on intoxicatedonlife.com. And I hope that you are less afraid of the talk.